There he is.
There he is.
It's not five yet.
Just turned 5.
So this evening, we will begin with a public hearing for declaring certain properties a public nuisance. So what I will do is I will call this public hearing open, and I will go down the list of each address, and if there is anyone here for or against any one of these addresses, if you will come up and speak into the mic at that time. So is there anyone here for or against 430 Magnolia Street being declared a public nuisance? 566 Newton Avenue, 616 Magnolia Street, 198 Magnolia Street, 615 North Merrick Avenue, 545 Eufaula Street, 551 Newton Avenue. Okay, that being the end of the list, I call this public hearing to a close. At this time, we will go down the agenda for this evening's 5:30 p.m. meeting. So after a call to order and prayer and pledge of allegiance, we will review the minutes from the regular council meeting that was held on July 15th, 2025. Council members, do you have any questions about those minutes?
No.
Item number 4 is to set the agenda for the evening. Item number 5 is a resolution declaring certain properties a public nuisance. And those addresses were the ones that we just had the public meeting for. 430 Magnolia Street, 566 Newton Avenue, 616 Magnolia, 198 Magnolia, 615 North Merrick Avenue, 545 Eufaula Street, 551 Newton Avenue. Would you like to speak on any of those?
Yeah, they're.
Council members, do you have any questions on any of those? Okay. Item number 6 is a resolution appointing August 26, 2025, or appointing the election officials.
Yep, so it's getting closer to election time, and this is the last opportunity that we have in order to appoint our poll workers for the upcoming election. And so that has been provided in the form of the resolution.
Council members, do you have any questions about that resolution? Item number 7 is to award the street paving project to Wiregrass Construction Company and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement of such award in the amount of $618,115.35. Ryan, would you like to come up and speak on that?
Very happy with the, both bids, really. I anticipated the campground costing that much, by itself, so, that's to cover campground and the milling and resurfacing of College Creek, East College Creek.
Council members, do you have any questions for Ryan regarding that?
So those are the only 2 roads that they're gonna do, is campground from city limit to city limit.
That's over
and then
5 miles, yeah.
Yeah,
This
and
is one of
then
the
the
worst
one-
in a while that we've done.
The one in front of the Civic Center
Yes.
that we had utilities problem on.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Man does a great job. I really want to say that. But as I have been going about the city, I have a citizen to raise a question about our street in the form of, can we publicize which streets are being repaved?
Yes, and we will, and, the reason, I mean, I could do that, for instance, I've got tonight a copy of the ones I proposed for, the rebuild project, for the upcoming next year, but, you know, as far as advertising the roads themselves, I mean, I don't know if we, you know, when we get these bids back, if that's even gonna be possible, so that's kind of the dilemma. But I do advertise once we do.
You have to do it.
Yes, after we do the board, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman Jackson, I got a question about it. Is that, do you mean advertising that, hey, this is gonna be paved, or hey, this is gonna be closed
They
for
just wanna
paving?
know
or-
it, prior to paving, like I said, it can be after the
Yes.
bid, you know, prior to paving, if we can just let the citizens know these, you know, number of streets are being paved by name, right?
Thank you.
Right.
Are there any other comments on, awarding that paving project?
No.
Item number 8 is to approve the Growing Alabama funding agreement and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement with the Alabama Department of Commerce in the amount of $150,000. Holly, would you like to speak on that?
Sure, so this is similar to the project we did a couple of years ago, so it's our corporate park, and we applied for funding through tax credit donors to the Growing Alabama program. It applied on behalf of the city for an airport parcel, so this would be to clear it, and prepare it, and bring an entrance into it, basically prepare it so that we can have a viable business there. Our next step would probably be, just to take, I mean, another round of this funding, we could take it a step further, but, this would be a great start, just having it shovel ready. And, Sonoma's Bank has committed $150,000 of their tax credits for this. And so we just have to authorize the mayor to execute the funding agreement so that we can get the funding and start the work.
Council members, do you have any additional questions for Holly on this?
When this would be at the airport.
Yes, it'll be basically making room for another aviation-related industry.
And if y'all don't mind, let Holly explain, we also applied for one from ODEC, and ODEC will be spending the money there doing it, but just,
Yeah, so we did 2 applications in the same round of funding. One was on behalf of the city, and one was for ODEC, the parcel that ODEC purchased from the school system a couple of years ago. That's the last remaining parcel in the industrial park. So same idea there, we'll just be clearing the land for that.
both of these projects, it's hard to sell them in the condition they're in. You just can't tell much about it, so we get them cleared, cleaned up.
And the one in the industrial park, we've actually had some interest in, but until you can really see it and have some work done, and 2, you know, if a company came along and they wanted incentives, we can say, well, you've already done this, we've already gotten this far, put this much into it, so that's always helpful.
Would this cover, would this cover any paving as well? We get the shovel, you know, around.
It'll be probably some paving to make an entrance into
Right.
it, yeah.
Any additional questions for Holly on this? Thank you, sir. Item number 9 is to approve the mayor to execute an updated use agreement for the batting cage at Eagle Stadium with Ozark City Schools. So, Ozzy, would you like to come up and speak on that?
Hi, Blaine. I sat with Coach Logan a couple weeks ago, and thanks to Brenda's meeting, we have been able to achieve an agreement for the use of facilities, and we both benefit from it, so engagement trade.
Council members, do you have any questions for Ozzy on, this joint use agreement?
We got it all worked out.
Yes, sir.
Well, this is just the writing pages all about it.
It's actually in the agreement. It actually is for, it, no, it says guiding page, but the joint use agreement is actually for the stadium, sessions, and the batting cage.
So should we state it that way, or just leave it?
I think it is stated in the contract, in the budget contract. Yeah.
So however you would like to, Eagle Stadium, and batting cage.
We amend her, but Carol Baseball and.
Yeah.
Nice to have that weight room
Any additional questions for Ozzy on this agreement?
They got one day.
What's happening?
Thank you, Ozzy.
Thank you.
Item number 10 is a resolution adopting a transportation plan for fiscal year 2026. Ryan, would you like to come and speak on that?
Yes, and this is part of what Chris shared, earlier in the, budget meeting. This is, an obligation we have to share and actually publicly vote on for the Fund 23 is what we call it, but it's the excess tax that, Governor Ivey implemented back in a couple of years ago. I don't know the exact date, but that's that $130,000. That money will actually be applied and used, for instance, the community development block grant, that would be one of them that we could possibly use that money for, and any excess that maybe we would run into for our 26 paving plan.
So it's funds, the extra funds to be applied to our
Yes.
paving plan.
Yes.
Was that like half a street compared to what the cost of?
130,000, so, you know, and, you know, for instance, you know, striping or any kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
You little, you're a little bit.
Yep,
And it wasn't right for the
yes, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, man, I realize that we've been using this CDBG money for, street resurfacing. Could this also, what we're talking about now, be used for sidewalks?
Yes, I believe it could, but there is a program, TAP program, that we could, access, that we can utilize for that. And I am working on that.
Yeah, I love
The
this.
Transportation Alternative Program is the one that's typically given for sidewalks. Gives you the flexibility to put them anywhere and make them ADA compliant, which we utilized, we did, I think the last one we did is by the Boys and Girls Club, like 2 years ago, so. And it's usually a 2-year cycle in between, so, and typically the community development block grant is. You're eligible every year, but you typically, we've never been selected every year. It's usually you kind of skip, but you kind of get the money to flow through the state, so. But we will be applying for that this year.
You know, we're in dire need of more sidewalks.
Or at least, we need a lot of sidewalks need, ADA compliant standards, so even that too.
That really looks good over there too.
It does.
But we have so many people riding these, motorized wheelchairs and bicycles where there are not any sidewalks.
Right.
Particularly on Parker Road, from Dixon School Road to Oakview Manor, you just have them all over.
And that would be, you know, that's one of the roads I've looked at, that would be a really difficult road for the
South
sidewalk.
Union.
The shoulders of that road would be, make it very difficult, but,
South Union's in town, there's no sidewalk
That-
going south.
yes.
From the court. Well, from Ozark, that is, I guess, in that area. You really don't have any sidewalk.
But the community development block grant, the other two big uses, are, you know, we've used it for, house, remodels for areas that have low income and are in need of that, you know, that's been used, we've done it. We haven't done it since Jonathan has been here. The other big use is demolition, that's really what that.
I don't want to, excite anyone, but when we're talking about the land being cleared off of that one, there are no sidewalks from the Boys and Girls Club 427. There are none, like I mentioned, on Royal Parker Road from North Union, this side of the Caution Line. That's where the sidewalks stop at. That's America's Way. Okay.
Thank you, Ryan. Item number 11 is a resolution confirming the cost of a weed lien. And those two addresses are 227 Bermuda Street and Church Street, but then parcel number 2606083100600 stop 000. Brett, would you like to?
Just as big yards, we always have to keep cut and then maintain. We got it.
Okay. do you have any questions for Brett on confirming that cost?
No.
Item number 12 is setting a public hearing for August 5th, 2025 at 5 p.m., declaring certain properties a public nuisance. Brett, do you have any?
Two more yards of the dollar will maintain, just like if the city council. They'll get together.
Council members, do you have any, questions or comments about setting the public hearing for those two addresses? 694 East Road, 1394 South Union Avenue.
No.
All right, so with that, I will go out into the audience. Are there any department heads in attendance that have any comments or questions on any of the agenda items this evening?
I'll just make a quick reference, the, item number 8, the approving drilling out and funding agreement. Even though we're getting $150 in the tax credit from Synovus, there's still $38,925, that we have to put in there. We don't have any capital outlay for next year, so that would have to come out of reserves.
How much?
$38,925.
Are there any other department heads in attendance that have any comments or questions on any of the agenda items? Is there any?
It wasn't on the agenda, but if you want to go over and have the, vote for the candidate. Whichever way on it.
Is there anyone in attendance that has any comments or questions on any of the agenda items for this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, John again, so what are the names of those poll workers that will be working for the election?
The inspector is Ann Sullivan.
Okay.
Clerks are Gail Little, Tamika Shaw, Jessica Moore, Sarah Haywood, Carolyn McCray, Jeff White, Ann Phillips, Connie Johnson, A.C. Putnam, Elaine Putnam, Sarah Fryer, Pat Olson, Diane Contori, Anita White, Catherine Farrell, Sam Phillips, Betty Smith, Gaynell Nixon. The absentee boxes will be, the manager is Judy Bloodsworth, with those clerks being Judy Bird, Elnora Smith-Flynn, and Martha Falk.
I'm sorry, say those last again.
Elnora Smith-Flynn, hyphenated, and Martha Falk.
Okay, thank you. And what is the cost of the leasing for 227 Bermuda Street and Church Street?
It was, $250.
I'm sorry?
$250.
$250 per each?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No, so that, actually the amounts for, the leaslings, 227 was $450, and Church Street is $525.
Well, that's,
Include that.
that's the $200 for the administration fees, too. The
So
yard.
that's the total, so that's,
Okay.
we just, yeah, put it in.
So the administration, so it's 250 plus the administration fee to equal those total. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions, on any of the agenda items this evening? Okay. Are there any comments or questions about any subject in particular this evening? Yes, sir, if you'd like to come up to the mic.
This is Governor on the agenda, you ask you on anything, I'm through with Newings, and I was
shop here every day with my tax money. I shop. And when I leave, I'm making a proposal to the city and the board, each and every member here, to the highway department, to implement something, having the guardrails erected right below the electrical transformer that you go up to 31, but you're going down the hill, and there's a big drop off, which is approximately 200 feet deep down in that big gully. And if anyone or anybody go off in that gully without someone seeing them, who knows? They could be down there for a long period of time, or they might lose their life. But if we have some guardrails erected going down that way with the highway department, maybe it could be prevented. And I want to bring each and every member aware. I'm for sure, I don't know if everybody has seen it and noticed that area, but it's something that needs to be done.
Thank you. Do you mean going north?
Going north.
And it's on the
It's
right?
going north, but it's going down the hill. Right down to 31, past the transformer.
Madam President, let me help them out. So
Yes.
what he's talking about is, if you leave McDonald's,
Right.
going north, Alabama Power has the substation right there
Substation.
below the quick lube.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where that gully or ravine starts.
Right there.
If we could get a guardrail.
If we can get something erected there, it would help each and every person that might, you know, it would be helpful. We never know, we'll never know when something happens.
So just because it's on 231,
Yes.
that is a state highway.
Exactly. That's why I'm making a proposal to the city board and the councilman, to maybe you all can get with them, or maybe I
And just
can,
do an inquiry with them.
yeah, inquire to them and see what they have to say. Okay?
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in attendance that has any comments or questions on any subject in particular? Yes, ma'am. Come up to the mic.
Excuse me. Cindy O'Brien, excuse me. I live in Candlewood Estate, and we would like to see speed bumps put out there. We have people that come through there speeding like you wouldn't believe, and it's all hours of the day. It's no certain time. And we have handicapped children out there. And we would like to either see speed bumps, if patrolled more often. It's just really terrible how the speeders come through there. If I had the time and and Logan, it's like a speedway out there too.
Thank you, ma'am. We can definitely get some patrols. I do know that, at least the position right now in Ozark is that we cannot put speed bumps anywhere due to the liability whenever we put them in. Anybody can hit them and then we have to fix their cars. So they will not, now that can be something that can be possibly changed in the future, but we'll get with you about that.
But they can't do some of them.
There are the speed bumps in the state.
I think I would make a comment to something she just said, because I live off Lavender, and if you're driving the speed limit over, you can almost guarantee if somebody is going to pass you on a no passing lane.
Oh,
We do need, yes, and they're flying at high rates of speed, and there's gonna be an accident out there one day. Somebody's gonna get hit crossing that road, something's going to happen. We need more patrols out there or something, at the very least. If we can't put speed bumps and caution signs saying, hey, look, there are speed bumps, you know, something, then we need more patrols out there, keeping people from seeing these neighborhoods like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Thank you.
Yes, I know.
Is there anyone else in attendance that has any comments or questions on any subject in particular? Okay, so, yes, ma'am.
Colonel Nancy, this is just a thank you for, the excellent service that our fire and our rescue does. I know my mom's had a lot of medical issues over the years, and we had another one, recently. And it was awesome to be able to know that, I could pull right into a fire station, and they would be right there at my vehicle. I didn't even have to go in. They recognized something was going on, and, were able to help. So I, kudos for, the men and women that work, those services. They've done a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in attendance that has any comments or questions on any subject in particular? Yes, ma'am, if you'd like to come on.
I'm Alice Rice, and while we're talking about roads, let's talk about Will Logan. I don't know when's the last time it was striped, but there are no fog lines. The middle, whatever, the markings in the middle are invisible in weather like this at night time. And the approach to it from Andrews Avenue is nothing but ridiculous. When the weather's like this, you cannot see that approach until you're in it. I haven't gotten in it, but I can see people doing that, especially when the weather is like this is, and the visibility is like 10 or 20%. So I don't know who is responsible for Will Logan. I don't know if it's the city or the county or who it is, but they really need to work on that. Because I'm saying fully 80% of that road has no marking. So it's definitely a danger. And people, especially coming around that approach from, Andrews Avenue, yeah, people pass there all the time around that curve. It's not good. And Candlewick. There are some people that drive up and down Candlewick that try to do it as loud and as constantly, and I still want to see if they can crack my foundation. And they're getting close.
To that, so whenever they are loud like that, if you do call the, non-emergency line, or even if you figure out which vehicles are doing it, you can definitely report that, because there is a noise.
Well, I just have to do it after dark. I don't, I don't know the, I'm not gonna sit out there and try to count these cars that come by. By the time I get out there, they're gone, because they're racing anyway. So, anyway, definitely attention and whoever's responsible for it.
Thank you.
And they also need to get rid of the vegetation, because of whatever the clearance is supposed to be between the forest and the highway is not being met.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in attendance that has any comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Three.
Hello, my name is Brittany Gowan. You all know me. I just want to take a moment and talk about something that's not always easy to say out loud in rooms like this, but I think it needs to be said, especially considering everything that's been going on these last few months, weeks, years. So I'm going to say it plainly that I believe transparency is a pipe dream. We all know that on some level. Total transparency just isn't possible in government. Not because people are hiding something, but because governing is messy, it's layered, and sometimes sensitive, and that's just the reality of it. But what is possible and required is proactive disclosure. Sharing information with the public before they have to dig for it, before they have to file a request, before they just show up here trying to piece together what's going on. I think we all know that hasn't always happened here. And the truth is the relationship between this council and many of the people you represent was deeply fractured in 2023. During the great library debacle. And I'll be honest, some of that fracture came from me. It got ugly, it got heated, it got really intense and personal. And here who still don't trust me, just like there are people among us, the citizens, who still don't trust you as a governing body. And I get it, but it's been 2 years, and if we're going to move forward together, we have to stop operating from that place of mutual suspicion. I'm not here to fight anyone, I'm here because I care about what happens next. We, the public, shouldn't have to cry or protest or get loud on, just to find out how our money is being spent. Or what's being decided about our city. That information should be offered up front, because it's ours. It's yours too. You pay taxes, you live here, and this affects all of us. So as we head toward election day, with just one more council meeting between now and then, I hope every elected official in this room and every challenger hoping to take a seat remembers this, that trust is not rebuilt through silence. It's rebuilt through honest, consistent disclosure, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially after all we've been through. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Galvin.
Thank you.
And council members, I will say, just since I have the mic, thank you, Ms. Galvin, for actually creating the Ozark Votes 2025 page, because it is a lot of nonpartisan information being shared on social media, and we do appreciate that. You didn't have to, but it just surfaced, and we do appreciate it, or at least I appreciate it. Thank you. Ozark Votes 2025. Is there anyone else in attendance that has any other comments or questions on any subject in particular? Yes, ma'am?
The trash around the city, I'm sick and tired of driving down Andrews Avenue and other streets in our city, and there's mattresses all over. I mean, everywhere. These people that own rental property, when a renter skips or leaves or whatever, they just unload that house and put it by the street. And they might do it nice and neat, but then we have our hoarders that go digging through it, and make an absolute gigantic mess. What are we gonna do about it? We need to clean up our city. That's rule number one, clean up the city. Get these lawns mowed, get the trash off the street. I've lived in other cities, I'm former military wife, and I've been in a lot of places. They don't allow this. You put this junk out on the street, you're gonna get a fine.
Well,
So if we want money, that's a good idea.
So I will say, part of what we're doing tonight is that public nuisance, so that's what we're doing. So if someone does, not cut their grass, or has a really.
Well, I don't see a lot of streets on here that need
Well, there is
cleaning
a
up.
process, so there, and it's not.
I'm sure it is, but it can't take 20 years.
But it does take
How long does it take? How long does it take?
So once someone reports, that person then has to get a letter, then has to have 30 days to clean it.
Yeah, I know the
and then
process.
So it does take a while. So
But
it
it doesn't take 10 years, honey. It doesn't even take 5 years.
But it does take a while, and whenever you're dealing with things like mattresses, and our public works department does the absolute most with the resources that they have. So I do appreciate you coming up.
More resources.
I do not disagree. We just bought another truck and then it just broke down. So I do not disagree with what you are saying. But I will say that they are doing the best they can with what they have. Now, something that can help, if you do notice an address, we do have a form where you can say this particular address and report that specific address. Because unless someone who actually reports the one, they won't necessarily know about it. And then we can get to it faster.
I live here back in 05, 06, you know, we lived here before, and, we just bought this house and it had this carport awning kind of thing. And your city guy came by and said, that's gotta go. My husband, you tell my husband, he does it right away. Well, there's people, oh, well, he was grandfathered in, And it came up after hours, went
Well,
down.
that particular is.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we need to make rules for everybody.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien.
But let's clean up the city.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in attendance that has any comments or questions on any subject in particular?
I do wanna say one thing. A couple of weeks ago, actually at our last city council meeting, I mentioned to Officer Nice that I hadn't seen my neighbor in a couple of weeks. And that he went out and investigated on my neighbor laying on the floor in her home. They took her to the hospital, EMS came out to the Dale Medical Center. She is in a rehab facility right now, recovering from a stroke. So I wanna say thank you to our police department and to our EMS for going out and taking care of her. I also want to say thank you to my friends Karen and David for going and mowing her yard. Because her grass was probably yay tall, because she had been sick and had not been able to go out and mow her yard. And they came over and mowed her yard for her. And I do want people to keep in mind that some of our people in our community are elderly. They may not be able to get out and mow the yard. And they may not be able to afford to pay somebody to go out and mow the yard. Because she couldn't. She doesn't make enough money. And I found this out through her friends who have come over from Georgia and from Indiana, come down from Indiana to help oversee things while she's in rehab. And she hasn't been able to pay somebody to come over and mow the yard while she's been sick. So these are things that we need to take into consideration when we're complaining about people not mowing the yards. And that there might be other alternatives to help those individuals. But, thank you.
It is a lot to say, if we know our neighbors, we can help our neighbors. Is there anyone else in attendance that has any comments or questions on any subject in particular? So with that, I'll go to final comments. Mayor?
I don't have a whole lot. We are continuing to clear on the, complex, sports complex. I had a chance to go by there and look. Cleared about 24 acres out of 77. Of course, that's still got to be burned off and that kind of thing. Don't forget that USA breakfast, 7 o'clock Thursday morning. We've got about 300 people scheduled. It'll be a big crowd. There is a building on the airport that is a part of the college that they're going to demo. We've looked at it. We didn't have any issues with it. It's actually on their property and they're paying for it. I had Brett look at it just to make sure there wasn't some kind of issue. But if you see that coming down in the next little while, that's what that is. You received a letter from Ken Speaks and RNCI that I sent out to y'all. They are definitely coming and moving forward with the purchase of the Bell building. And then last week, I had 6 people from Bell and Textron out of Texas fly in, and we had a very good meeting about what their future plans are in the building here. So all that's very exciting stuff. So just want to let y'all know that. That's it.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Infinger?
Just want to thank the department heads and Chris, working on the budget, keeping us balanced. Chris is good at that. I'm sure this is early, but Iowa Center's putting on another production of decided for the 200th anniversary of Dale County. This is going to be about Eagle Stadium, Tuna Protein we had here. The people that brought the town, some stayed here, and businesses here for years. This is going to be a good production. They're already working on practicing. Y'all come out and support on September 13th.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson?
First, I want to commend the citizens that came forward this evening with their complaints. And I would like us to take heed to all of what they said. this evening, because outside of number one being the safety of our citizens, which some of the comments were about, everything else encompasses providing services that we as taxpayers, pay to have those services provided. So with that, I will go to another item that I have, and that is that on the 11th at 6 o'clock at the amphitheater, there will be another forum for candidates, leading up to the election. Candidates will have their own table, and you, the citizens, are welcome to go to each individual table. The candidates will have their tables listed by name. And you're welcome to go and speak to them, ask them any question you want at the forum at the amphitheater at 6 on the 11th. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. Councilman Inbaker?
I'm gonna make it.
Councilman Pearl?
On August 21st, Thursday, Carroll High School, we're gonna have a community prep rally, a lot of things going on up there at Matthews Stadium. Be a lot of fun, and then Carroll's first game is the 22nd, that Friday night, home opener against Russell County, and we've got all the new facilities there, the press box, the new concession stand, the new restrooms. It's just gonna be so nice up there, so y'all come out and support the Eagles on that. And also, I want to feel I know Ryan's getting hit tonight and a lot of stuff on work, but those guys, they work on weekends, they work overtime on Saturdays. I see them out there, and they're working really hard to try to take care of all of that, and I just commend you, Ryan, and the department for that. They're giving it your all.
Thank you. Councilwoman Harlan?
Yes, all of our Eagles go back to school this week, so we wanna watch out for the crosswalks, and if you don't have any children or grandchildren that you're supporting, find somebody, find a family that maybe needs some help, and adopt them, be a grandparent to them or a parent to their children if you can, and help them with the needs. The rising cost of putting a child through school these days, even though there's a public school, there's still cost. Also, before we meet again, August the 15th is the Magnolia Gardens on East, our summer concert series is winding up that night. A local favorite, Four on the Floor, will be performing that night at Magnolia Gardens from 6:30 until 9:30, so everybody's invited to attend. It's free. Bring your chairs, bring your blanket, bring your children. It's a nice family-friendly event. And I just wanted to talk briefly about these speed bumps. Because when I was elected last time, my first term, that was one of the things I had, and I asked everybody, all the police officers, and just all my colleagues here, and they got the same answer that you got. Liability, liability, liability. So I will do some research, because also before I was elected, and I'm not making this a political thing, but they also told me that we couldn't tear down nuisance properties because it was a long and drawn out process. But somebody along the way figured it out, because we're up over 80 properties now. So my commitment to you, I will do the research and figure it out, how the other cities are doing speed bumps. Whether it's just the little rumble strips to remind people to slow down, as opposed to the big old giant speed bumps that you have to hit and knock the whole bottom end of your car out. I'm thinking more along the lines of those little rumble strips that you, like on major highways, that kind of remind you that there's a stoplight coming. Maybe some of those might help, but I promise I will look into that.
I appreciate it.
I want spikes.
Appreciate it.
Spikes. No, that's a little too far.
Well, literally all of you echoed all of my comments. I was like, okay, flowers, starting school, the meet and greet, everything. So they said everything that I want to say. So, with that, I will close this meeting and we will open the next, yes ma'am?
Can I give an alibi? I got City Council, sorry I was late, but I wanted to.
So if you'll come up, I'll we about to close? So we were about to close, but so are you just making just a general comment about something?
Yes, something that I wanna bring to the city.
Sure. Okay, what's your name, ma'am?
Lucretia Tyson. How y'all doing? I did run into Mr. Jackson here, and I wanted to ask something of the city, if they could help me out with something which is important to me. I'm a veteran. I served in the Army National Guard for 9 years, and I went to a place called the Haley Brain Wellness Center in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's something that helps first responders and veterans with TBI, substance abuse, and PTSD. It's a 3-week program. It's a phenomenal program, and they have a representative that can come and speak to the city or a group meeting, anything like that. And I want to see if y'all can partner with us. I'm part of Vets for Vets, We Got Your Six, and part of the American Legion, and try to get the first responders, the police, the fire department, all on board, because I want to be proactive instead of reactive on certain issues, especially dealing with trauma and PTSD and substance abuse for our people who serve.
Okay, so one of the things that we can do is, I can, since the department heads are actually here, I can put you directly in touch with them. Because when it comes to their, our employees continuing education and things like that, those department heads are the ones that actually, set all of that up. So, they can actually look at it and you can give them more information on it and all of that. Because specifically, detailed, when it comes to something that detailed, city council is not the one who implements it per se. But we can definitely put you in touch with each one of those department heads. Thank you, Ms. Tyson.
Thank you.
Please help me to get
Yeah,
information,
yeah.
a contact number.
Yes. So, with that, I will call this meeting to a close, and we will begin the next meeting in 3 weeks.